Hello friends, welcome to ADO.NET tutorial. In this video, we will see how to perform type specific get operation from the DataReader object. So using this type specific get methods, we can avoid casting. In all our previous example in this subseries, we retrieved the data from DataReader via index. So the index here we specified in terms of name or ordinal. Say for example, reader of, within double quote we specified column name, or reader of within the square bracket we specified the integer position, ordinal position we can say. The return value is an object and we used to append it with a string to show the output. So the reader of whatever you specify will return some value from the DataReader object, and the returned value is actually an object. So the type here is object. The string when concatenating represents the object in string format. Say for example, in our previous example, when we are showing the output, we will form a string using the string.format. Then we will specify the reader of ordinal position or some column value here. For simplicity reason, we will take ordinal position, right? So previously we used positional notation. So what happens here, the content of this reader return value object will be converted into string, or the object will be represented in string format then assigned here. Or even if we used the string concatenation, that time also object will be represented in the form of string, and it will get concatenated with the previous string. Suppose if we want to retrieve quantity sold which is in int format, say for example reader of, and the database column what we are retrieving is quantity. So let's state that in DB the quantity is stored as integer. So when you make a call to reader of quantity, it will not return integer, instead it will return the object. So now let's read this. Suppose if we want to retrieve quantity sold which is in int format, we need to typecast the object. That means since we know the type, we have to explicitly typecast the object as int. This is required if we want to store the fetched value in a variable for later calculation to form arithmetic expression. Say for example here this is a quantity sold and it is returned, and we want to store that quantity in some variable, say int quantity, right? The reader.quantity returned value, and which is typecasted as integer then stored here. Later what we can do, we can make use of this quantity, and you can make the stack manipulation. Since the quantity sold is some number here, we will reduce it from the stack equal to stack minus quantity. So that's why the database fetched value will be convenient if it is in integer format for later calculation or to form arithmetic operation like this. So if it is in object format, we need to cast it to integer to involve that in the arithmetic expressions. DataReader provides various type specific get methods so that we no need to convert the return value, convert it in the sense that we no need to convert the DataReader return value. So the get methods are like get string, get date. The method needs a column ordinal, And to avoid failure, one must check for null before making this function call. So for example, when you are making a get string, you can specify the ordinal position. So the method knows that it reads the data from the DataReader, SQLDataReader, and when it is reading, it will convert the content into string format so that we can easily store the return value in string when you are using the get string. Similarly, if in the database field, when the column is date, then you can make use of the getDate method. Now let us look at an example. Here, if you see, we have select first name and job level from employee table. So we know that first name will be string here and job level will be integer or tiny int. So simply we can call it as a number. So command dot execute reader. So this will execute this command text, and we have the reader object. Then we are getting the ordinal position for first name. We saw the usage of get ordinal in our previous video. So here we are using the first name and job level. So we have the ordinal position, employee name and employee level. And here we are forming a loop based on the reader.read. So before making use of the get version of the reader methods, here we are checking the emp name. So reader dot is db null of emp name. So if you see here, we are just giving the ordinal position only. So this will be the integer value, right? If there are here in this example, there are two columns, right? Two columns. One is first name and another second one is a job level, and the ordinal positions are 0 and 1. That means emp name here is 0 and emp level is 1. So using this ordinal position, we are going into the slat and checking these values are not empty and they have a valid value inside it. So using the reader dot is db null, we are checking it. So when it returns false, so the values are filled here and it's not null. Right, it's not returning true. So that means we are checking for false to make sure the ordinal positions are holding the values and they are not null. Then reader dot get string, since we know that emp name is for a first name column and we know the database data type. So here when you look at the schema, you will come to know that first name is a string varchar or char. So that's why here we are making use of get string method, get string of emp name. And if you see here, we are not doing any typecasting and we are storing the return value in a strongly typed variable name. So name, the type is a string here. Similarly, emp level. So here we are making use of get byte. In DB, this column is tiny int 8-bit. Tiny int is 8-bit, right? So that's why we are using get byte. We are not using get integer. Here we are using the get byte since the data type is tiny int. You can refer Microsoft documentation to know the other data type mapping, SQL Server data type. If you see different version of, different data type, you can refer the documentation to know which version of get method one should use. Alright, here we just took two simple example and we used the get version of the method, and here we avoided the typecasting. Now since we have here level, whatever it returns, that's in int 16 format, and we are using that in the txt display.append text. If you see here, employee name, we are substituting that. Then current job level, here we are increasing the job level to 1. So this is just to show that we are using the expression. Let's say there is some business logic, based on that we are forming the expression. Since the return value is integer here, we are involving it in the simple arithmetic operation like this. So the same way you can think of a salary is returned. From there you may be calculating the bonus by giving a percentage. Alright, now let's go to the demo. So let's rename this. So this time we are going to read employee with a job level. Job level. So now we landed into the click event handler. First let's have the using statement using SQL connection, new connection based on pub string. We are forming the connection here, and we will end our using statement with a pair of curly braces. Next we will make use of next using statement to hold the SQL command object, and when it goes out of scope we want to close the command, so we are using the using statement here. So here if you see, for the command object we are setting the connection, and we are also setting the command text. We saw this multiple time in our previous video. Then we are opening the connection, and when you make a call to execute reader on the command object, it will execute the specific statement. Now we have two column values, first name as well as job level. So in the SQL server you can see the select query, select first name, job level from the table name here is employee, and when you execute it will return the first name and job level. If we go here and expand the pubs database, we are picking it from employee table, right? So expand the employee table column, and you can read the data type here. We are taking the first name, it is varchar, and job level, that is tiny integer, tiny int. Now let's go back to the code, and if you see we are getting the ordinal position for first name as well as job level, and we are storing those ordinal position here into separate variable. Inside the while loop we form the iteration, right? So okay, inside the while loop here we are not forming the iteration, it is simply a conditional check for safety purpose. So first we are making sure that the ordinal position, whatever we are returning it from the reader, we give that ordinal position to is db null to make sure it actually contains some value. When both value exist, then only we get inside the if condition to use the type specific method, I mean the type specific get methods. So inside this if condition, you can see emp name ordinal position we know, reader dot, we are directly making use of the method getString. Previously we used like reader of, so either ordinal position you can use or you can use f name, right? So this will, if you look at the syntax here, it is returning the second one is a string form of indexer, right? So both version, if you look at here, is returning the object. So when you use the type specific get method, you can see the return type is a string. So here, since it returns a string, we are directly storing that in a string variable. Then we are making use of the getByte method, and we are passing the ordinal position, and we know that it will return byte, and you can either store that in byte, but here we are storing it into 16. That has more slot than byte, but it will not harm the coding, right? There will not be any truncation when you use the higher end data type. Alright, now we have string as well as level, and we are forming the string on the fly. If you see employee name, whatever we returned, that string we are appending it here. Then current job level, here level, since it is already in integer format, we are using the simple arithmetic expression, right? Here job level is increased to 1 for all the employee. All right, now so in next video onwards, we will avoid this using statement for code clarity purpose, but the good practice is using the using statement, because we no need to worry about closing the object after use. Say for example, if you are not using this curly braces, you have to make a call to connection.close. Here there is a SQL command, right? After the use, you have to make a call to command.close. Because of this using statement, we no need to do that. But it will show a lot of curly braces, and it may be irritating when we are demoing it, but it's a good practice to use. So next video onwards, we will make use of the command as well as SQL connection, and we will try to close it towards the end. Even if we forget it, you have to always remember that the connection and command reader, all those stuff needs to be closed. That's all here. Now we will do the rebuild solution. So rebuild all is succeeded. Now we can run it. So here, if you look at the job level for Pablo and Pedro is 35 and 89, and it got incremented to 36 and 90, right? Because we retrieved this as an integer type using the getByte method, and here employee Pablo is data that is retrieved from the reader, and we used the getString method. So we used strongly typed get version of the method, and we stored that in a separate variable. Later we formed the string, right? That's all here in this video. Thank you for watching. Bye.